Hi, my name is Matthew Cabana and this is my team Living Image.
Yay!
We're all from the University of South Wales studying courses such as computer animation and visual effects. In the competition we're hoping to be working on Cracked Open, which is the Sinbad story. We have been working on this story with the screenplay writer to develop a modern interpretation of it so we're able to push our skills to new potentials. We're a strong, passionate and friendly team and we've all had experience collaborating together and working on a VFX pipeline. I'd now like to take this time to let my teammates introduce themselves individually.
Hi, my name is Grace Coverwell. I'm a third year computer animation student. I am a CG artist, so I'm going to be responsible for the modelling, sculpting and texturing of the rock in production. I'm also a storyboard artist, so I've been responsible for the storyboarding and also the creature design for the project. Really excited.
My name's Dominic Pugh. I'm a third year BA computer animation student. I specialise as a 3D artist, and for this project I'll be doing the environments, focusing on the buildings, projection mapping and Nuke as well, to get all nice textures on the buildings. And yeah, can't wait to see you all at Bournemouth.
Hi, I'm Matt and I'm going to be the director for Living Image. I specialise in animation and rigging, but I'm also a CG generalist. On the project, along with being the director, I'm going to be working on the animation and rigging and the rendering and lighting along with Felix.
Hi, my name is Felix Lane-Thompson. My skills sort of range between animating, dynamics. My main role in this project is going to be dynamics and also keyframe animation, and I can't wait.
Hi, I'm Kat Sykes. I'm a second year visual effects and motion graphics student. I'm a VFX generalist, so I'll be doing the filming and the keying and the comping and grading and a bit of matte painting and 3D projection in Nuke.
Hi, I'm Jill. I'm a VFX student at the University of South Wales. I'm a VFX generalist and my role on this production will be to film, edit and colour grade. I'll also be match moving if there's any, and I'll be helping out on the matte painting if they need me there as well.
So shot one of the sequence is going to open up on Sinbad sat in the cafe. The environment's going to be bustling as well. It's going to be people going outside the cafe going around their normal morning routine. He's going to be drinking coffee and he's going to be eating a boiled egg, which is going to be cracking as we open up on the shot. In the second shot we have more of a establish of what is going on in the environment. So we're focusing on the egg, making sure that the viewer know precisely what's happening and start to add symbolism to what's being shown in the shot. So the egg being cracked and opened by Sinbad and eaten is trying to preempt what is going to be shown later on. The third shot is very important. It's an establishing shot of the city and this shadow of this elegant bird gliding into view and the shadow running on the road and the sides of the buildings as well. It will start to clip with its wings the side of the buildings as we'll start to see some shatter effects. In the fourth shot is when we cut back to seeing Sinbad relaxing and then still enjoying his coffee and his eggs. He'll be reading the newspaper at this point as well and giving him more of a sense of he's closed off from his environment. This shot will also establish the flight case at his foot with the fragile sign of the egg underneath, so we can kind of build a relationship of why he's in this cafe and what he's doing there. The shot will also show the rook flying into view and crashing down outside the cafe. The rook is going to be quite clumsy. He's going to crash down into the road, subsequently hit one of the cars with his wing, which is going to set off the car alarm. Okay. Shot 5 cuts back to Sinbad in the cafe. We're focused on a mid shot for him, so we want to frame him, framing his face, see his facial expressions, and show his arrogance. In fact, he's not had any coffee given back to him. You know, he's a bit confused. Like, you know, he's starting to throw his weight around. He starts to like unplug his headphone and kind of question wherever he is and what's going on. Why has no one filled my coffee up? Our final shot will come back out to the exterior of the cafe where we focus on getting the reflections of this rook against the window. As Sinbad turns around after unplugging his headphone, hearing the ambient sounds of the sirens, the smashing, the screams of what's going on outside, in his confusion he turns around to the window to finally be met face to face with the rook stood outside the window. At this point we're just going to focus mainly on the reflection of the bird, as we feel like we'll build more tension and emphasis on it. The bird's head will slowly turn to reveal sort of the strength of its eye and show how focused it is, and they will both share a moment of looking down to the egg that Sinbad's just eaten and looking back up to each other. This shows more of the connection between the two of them and establishes that bird's after the egg and Sinbad might have. To end the shot, the bird will unleash a god-awful scream. We'll then cut to credits.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the design behind the rock. The first kind of influence that I took from is a pterodactyl. I wanted to kind of have a prehistoric creature to contrast with kind of the modern setting of the city. So I'm going to go with an earthy kind of stone colour palette for the design as well. We looked into making the bird actually out of rock. We couldn't get kind of decent poses out of it or anything, so I had to kind of adapt more to it having kind of fleshy bits within the legs and the neck, and then having kind of a rock surround on its body. So the rock itself is an organic creature, but I kind of imagined it to have been trapped within this kind of mountain environment for a really long time, kind of maybe dormant, kind of sleeping. And I imagine the environment to have kind of grown around it, so it's kind of covered in moss and rock and bits of kind of plants and stuff like that. So when it's broken free of its environment, it's kind of still got elements of the surroundings on it that are kind of decaying and falling away, which will add a kind of another level to the creature for us to be able to work with.
So obviously I'm covering the environment design, making all the buildings and all the props to go in the scene and flesh it out. I wanted to kind of look for the cafe more Parisian style, so it's quite upscale because the character's going to be in a suit and an outfit. So I looked into a lot of references for that, and then for the main buildings, Paris has quite like a low skyline, and I wanted to build it up a bit. So I started to look at other cities like Montreal, Amsterdam, other areas of New York, and I've kind of amalgamated all those together into one scene. And I'll also be making all the props for it as well, such as cars, bicycles, trees, and all of this stuff to add some visual noise to the scene so it looks busy and like a city should do.
Me and Felix are going to be taking on the technical rigging and animation side of the project for this team. We're going to be working very closely with Grace, modelling the rook, and develop a proxy rig so we have we maximise our time for animation so we can really focus on getting hyper-realistic animation and polishing it to the highest level and pushing ourselves.
Yeah, and with the rig we're also going to have some particle effects on it with rocks falling off, because obviously this creature's just sort of come out of hiding and its joints are still, the rock's still stiff and stuff, so we're going to have break points and instancing rock models to fall out.
With the way the creature's going to move, we imagine it being quite clumsy as well. So we really wanted to get that idea of it crashing into buildings and almost crashing down and really sort of almost stumbling as well.
Kind of like always breaking and stuff like that.
Yeah, so bits falling off
and
it
its
as well.
flight and its wings aren't really symmetrical and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting challenge for us, trying to build up that the animation to look like it's got that weight, but the creature's not going to be symmetrical, so it can be quite nice, sort of almost creating two halves of a body that have like individual personality as well.
Talking about the rook and being quite clumsy, obviously we're going to have a shot where it hits a wall and that's going to be dynamically driven, shattering and stuff like that, and that's just with end particles and stuff like that, and end cloth with custom presets.
What we hope to do is so we develop a piece that's interesting to watch and not just a one story narrative. I'm very passionate about sort of building a project that's going to be able to watch over and over again. In the wider shots I want to develop characters on the outside that you might not notice at first, maybe someone having arguments and stuff like that, just to build up the tension, something that you don't notice, maybe you notice a couple of watches later on.
It just adds just a little bit of depth to the piece as well.
Yes. Pass on to Jill and Kat.
So because Kat and I are VFX, we have more involvement towards the middle and the end of the pipeline. So we thought about what we're going to do when it comes to filming. We talked about the reflection on the glass and things like that. We've also thought about tracking.
We can lock off the camera.
We've decided to lock the camera off just to limit the need for tracking. If it turns out we need to track, then we can do it.
When it comes down to comping, I think we're going to do quite equal amounts of comping. And
yeah.
Maybe I'm doing a bit more.
Maybe a bit more. Yeah.
Basically, what's going to be new for us is kind of integrating the CG with the live action paints and bits of matte painting, because we've done bits working with collaborating with CG, but now we're going to have to full on
really push
our skills to make sure that everything looks well integrated, everything looks believable. So that's going to be down to lighting everything, making sure it's all got the good atmospherics and looks good.
And then when it comes to grading, we've talked about the atmosphere in the restaurant as a group before, and we think kind of a warmer time would make sense. I mean, to cast such a strong shadow on the ground, it will have to be quite harsh light anyways, and summertime and things like that.
Why we want to work together? Well, we've all been working together since our first year in university, and we've all been very close friends since then as well. We're a very strong, friendly and driven team. We're very passionate about learning and have a wide variety of skills. One member's weakness is another member's strength. We've been Living Image, and we look forward to meeting you in Bournemouth BFX.